Meanwhile, Amy had moved to the porch, standing out under the wide Alberta sky. The stars above were sharp and bright, scattered across the darkness like tiny lanterns. She remembered another night, years ago, when she and Ty stood right there, watching the stars, talking about Lyndi's future. They had made promises. They had dreamed together. Suddenly, as if pulled by memory, the wind picked up soft but insistent. Amy closed her eyes and let it wash over her. For a moment, everything else faded away. And in her mind, he was there. A vision, or maybe just a feeling of Ty standing beside her. Older, like in her dream, his eyes full of love, but also sadness. And he said, just like before, "You'll know what to do." Amy opened her eyes, heart racing. It felt too real to be a dream, too strong to be her imagination. Inside, Lyndi tiptoed into the room where Nathan sat. She climbed into the chair beside him without saying a word. Just looked at him, studying his face like she was looking for pieces of someone she knew. "You kinda look like the man in the pictures," she said softly. Nathan smiled. "That's what everyone says." "Did you love horses too?" she asked. "I didn't grow up around them," he replied. "But I think I would have." Lyndi nodded. "Maybe we can teach you." Amy had come back in, unseen, and stood quietly by the doorway, watching them. The way Lyndi spoke, so open, so willing, made Amy's throat tighten. This wasn't a stranger anymore. Somehow, Nathan belonged here. Not just because of who he might be, but because of what he brought with him: a connection, a reminder, a chance to fill something that had been empty for far too long. Later that night, Amy pulled out a small wooden box from under her bed. Inside were letters. Old ones from Ty. Some she had read 100 times. Others she had never been able to open. Her fingers hovered over one, its seal still unbroken. The handwriting was familiar, strong, slanted, unmistakably his. It was addressed, "For Amy, if I don't come back." Her breath caught in her chest. She had never opened it. Never been ready. But now. Maybe it was time. With trembling hands, she unfolded the letter. Ty's voice filled her mind as she read. "If you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home, and I hate that. I hate thinking I left you with silence. But I need you to know, I loved you. Every day. And I loved our girl before I ever held her. If someone comes into your life one day, someone with part of my blood, don't shut them out. Family isn't just who you're born with, it's who you make space for." Tears rolled down Amy's cheeks. Ty had known. He always had a way of knowing. She folded the letter, held it to her chest, and whispered into the quiet, "I hear you." And in that moment, the past and the present finally met. Morning light poured through the windows like honey, soft and golden, gently waking the quiet home. It was peaceful, almost sacred. Amy stood at the sink, still in her robe, a cup of coffee untouched in her hands. Her eyes were tired, red from tears, but clear. Last night's letter still sat open on the table beside her, not hidden away again, not buried, left out, as if Ty's words still lingered in the air. Down the hall, Lyndi was getting dressed, humming to herself. Her voice carried lightly through the house, cheerful, warm. The way children always seem to know how to find light, even in the shadow of something they don't fully understand. Nathan had woken early to. He had spent the night in the guest room, the one that used to be Ty's when he first came to Heartland. That meant something. It felt like the right room. He stood at the edge of the pasture, now, staring out at the horses grazing in the morning dew. Amy watched him from the porch, arms crossed tightly, unsure of what to say, but knowing the moment had come, she stepped outside. "I opened it," she said, her voice quiet but steady. Nathan turned slowly. "The letter." Amy nodded. "He mentioned you. Not by name, but he knew. Somehow, he knew there was someone out there. Part of him," he said. "He hoped I wouldn't shut them out." Nathan's shoulders relaxed just slightly, and he looked away for a moment, blinking hard. "I didn't think he even remembered us. He was just a kid when he left." Amy stepped closer. "He remembered everything." A long pause hung between them. Not heavy, just full of the space where grief meets healing, where something new begins to grow in the cracks left behind. "You don't have to stay if it's too much," Nathan said, finally. "I just wanted to come, to say I tried." You've given me more than I thought I'd find. Amy shook her head gently. You don't have to go, Nathan. Not if you don't want to. He looked up. You sure? I'm sure. Behind them, Jack walked out with 2 mugs of coffee. He handed one to Nathan, who took it awkwardly, unsure how to act like family yet. Jack gave him a nod. Not approval, but something close. A beginning. You ride? Jack asked casually. Nathan shook his head. Not unless you count riding the subway. Jack gave a half smile. We'll fix that. Later that morning, Amy took Nathan to the barn. Lyndi came too, buzzing with excitement. She held Nathan's hand without hesitation, pulling him toward Spartan's stall. This is Mommy's horse, she said proudly. Spartan, he's old but still strong. Like Grandpa Jack. Nathan chuckled. He looks like he's been through a lot. Amy ran her hand along Spartan's mane. He has, but he's still here, just like us. They brought out Daisy for a short walk around the paddock. Amy led the horse, Nathan at her side, Lyndi skipping ahead. It wasn't a riding lesson, not yet, just a walk. A way to connect. As they walked, the conversation turned to stories. Amy told Nathan about the first time she met Ty, how angry and lost he was, and how underneath it all, he had the biggest heart of anyone she'd ever known. Nathan listened without interrupting. Every word painted a picture of someone he'd never known, but somehow had always felt connected to. He didn't ask questions, he just listened, and that was enough. Lyndi told her own story too, about how she dreams of racing one day, just like Mommy used to. She said she wanted to ride Spartan even when he was slow, just so she could ride with his memories. Amy watched her daughter with love swelling in her chest. Ty would have been so proud. By the time the sun was high, they were sitting on the porch together. Amy brought out an old photo album. One by one, she showed Nathan pieces of Ty's life, his time at Heartland, their wedding, Lyndi's birth, the trips they took. It wasn't easy. Every photo still held a sting. But today, she wasn't crying from pain. She was remembering with love. Nathan took a deep breath. I never knew him, but seeing all this, it feels like I do now. Amy looked at him, her voice soft. That's what family does. It gives us roots. Even when we don't know we have them. Lyndi looked up from where she was drawing on the porch floor with chalk. Can we go riding? Tomorrow? All of us. Nathan smiled. I think I'd like that. Amy didn't say anything. She just reached for his hand and gave it a small, quiet squeeze. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be. It was real. And sometimes, that's more powerful than anything else. In the distance, the wind carried a soft rustle through the trees like footsteps riding the breeze. Amy looked out across the pasture, heart full. Ty was gone. But somehow, his presence had never felt closer. That evening, the sun dipped low over Heartland, casting a golden glow across the pasture. Long shadows stretched from the trees, and the last warmth of the day clung to the breeze. Inside the house, laughter echoed faintly from the kitchen, Lyndi asking a million questions. Jack teasing Nathan about needing proper boots, Lou chiming in about Heartland traditions. It was ordinary. But that's what made it beautiful. Amy sat alone for a moment on the back porch, a quiet space to breathe. In her lap rested the letter from Ty again, folded and worn now, not from age, but from being read over and over in just 2 days. She hadn't hidden it away this time. She kept it close. Like his voice was still here, steadying her. She looked out at the fields and smiled softly. There had been a time, she thought healing meant forgetting, moving on, letting go, but she'd learned over the years that real healing means remembering, choosing to carry love forward, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Nathan joined her a few minutes later, sitting quietly in the wooden chair beside her. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. They both stared out at the land in silence, connected not by history, but by something deeper, understanding. Amy broke the silence, voice low. You don't replace people, you know. You never could, but you've added something to this place, something we didn't know we were missing. Nathan looked down. I don't want to take anything from him. I just wanted to be part of something that felt real. Amy turned to him. You are. What if the person you lost never truly left? What if, one quiet morning, Someone stepped onto your land with the same eyes. The same quiet strength, and everything you thought was gone suddenly felt close again. Asterisk at the heart of Heartland, where memories ride the wind and love lives in every hoofbeat. Something impossible is about to happen. Amy Fleming has faced storms, heartbreak, and healing, but nothing could prepare her or little Lyndi for the man they're about to meet. Asterisk, it was a quiet morning on the ranch, the kind of morning that feels almost too still, like nature is holding its breath. The sky was pale blue, washed with the soft gold of the rising sun. Birds called out across the trees, and the horses in the pasture moved slowly, tails flicking, calm and steady. Inside the barn, Amy was brushing a chestnut mare named Daisy, her hands moving in slow, practiced strokes. Lyndi sat just a few feet away on a hay bale, her little boots swinging back and forth, a drawing pad on her lap. She was sketching a horse, not just any horse, but Spartan, the one she'd heard about since she was a baby. The pencil moved in quiet lines, but her eyes kept darting up to watch her mom. Something about Amy seemed different today. Jack walked in carrying a bucket of feed, his boots thudding softly on the barn floor. He nodded to Amy but didn't speak right away. Instead, he watched her for a long moment, as if reading something in her face. You all right? He finally asked, voice low and rough like gravel. Amy paused, resting her hand on Daisy's flank. Just thinking, she said. But Jack knew better than to push. The day before, Amy had found an old photo in the attic. It was of her and Ty, one she hadn't seen in years. They were standing by the river, smiling, arms around each other. She had placed it on her bedside table, and that night, she dreamed of him. Not in the usual way. This time, it felt real. He had looked older, a little worn, but still him. And he had said something she couldn't forget. I'll see you soon. Now. As the sun lit up the rafters and warmed the wooden walls of the barn, Amy couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming? Something she didn't understand yet. Outside, the sound of gravel crunching broke the silence. Tires on the drive. A vehicle they didn't recognize. Lyndi hopped off the hay bale and ran to the open door. Mommy. Someone's here. Amy followed, wiping her hands on her jeans, heart suddenly picking up speed. Jack stepped out behind her, hand resting on the railing of the porch. A dark truck rolled to a stop near the gate. The engine cut off, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the door opened, and a man stepped out. He looked like he didn't belong there, and yet, at the same time, like he had always been part of the land. He wore a worn leather jacket, dusty jeans, and carried himself like someone who had been on the road a long time. His face was partly shadowed by a ball cap. But when he looked up, Amy froze. It was the eyes. Lyndi, without understanding why, grabbed her mother's hand tightly. Mommy, who is that? Amy couldn't speak. She knew it wasn't Ty. That would be impossible. But somehow, in the way he stood, the shape of his jaw, the way he looked right at her, it felt like Ty had returned. And for the first time in a long time, Amy didn't feel alone. The man didn't move right away. He stood still, just outside the gate, as if unsure whether to step forward or turn back. His face was calm, but his eyes, they were searching, as if he was looking for something or someone he had imagined 100 times in his mind, but had never seen in person. Amy took a slow step forward, her boots crunching softly against the gravel. She couldn't take her eyes off him. Jack stayed back, watching with a careful eye, protective as ever, and Lyndi, still holding her mother's hand, peeked out from behind Amy's side. I'm sorry to show up like this, the man said finally, his voice steady but quiet. I wasn't sure if I should come. Amy blinked. The voice not exactly like Ty's, but close enough to stir something deep in her chest. She swallowed hard, trying to push down the storm rising inside her. Who are you? She asked, almost a whisper. The man took a breath, pulled off his hat, and stepped forward just enough for the sunlight to catch his face. He was younger than Jack, maybe in his early 30s. There was a tiredness in his eyes, but also something gentle. Something familiar. My name's Nathan, he said. Nathan Borden. I think I might be related to Ty. The words hit Amy like a wave. She staggered slightly, her hand instinctively dropping to Lyndi's shoulder. Jack stepped forward now, eyes narrowed. What do you mean? He asked, stepping in beside Amy. Nathan shifted, suddenly unsure of himself. My mom. She passed away last year. And before she did, she told me something I didn't know, that I had a half-brother. She said his name was Tyler Borden. She said he came out west, years ago. I didn't know where to start looking, but I found his name online. Saw pictures. Saw the ranch. Amy felt the air tighten around her. Nathan looked directly at her now. I saw you. With him, in the photos. I know this must be strange. I'm not trying to stir anything up. I just needed to know. Amy stared at him, her throat thick with emotion. The resemblance wasn't exact, but it was enough. The way he stood, the calm in his voice, even the way he looked at Lyndi, as if something inside him already cared without knowing why. Lyndi tugged at her mom's sleeve. Is he, my uncle? Amy looked down at her daughter, heart pounding. I don't know yet, sweetheart. Nathan took another small step forward. I'm not here to replace anyone. I know what he meant to you. I just wanted to see where he lived. Maybe meet someone who knew him. Jack's voice was softer now, though still guarded. You came a long way for answers. I did. Nathan nodded. Because I've spent my whole life wondering why something always felt missing. And when I learned about Ty, suddenly it made sense. Amy turned, slowly walking toward the porch. Come in, she said. We'll talk. Jack met her eyes. She nodded once. It was okay. Nathan followed them inside, eyes wide as he took in the home. Pictures on the wall. Ty and Amy, their wedding day, a younger Amy with Spartan. Lou holding a newborn, Lyndi. Each photo was like a piece of a life Nathan never knew existed. In the living room. Amy sat across from him, Lyndi beside her. Jack stood nearby, silent but steady. Nathan held a small folder in his hands, papers, old letters, and finally, a photo. It was faded, folded at the corners. A young Ty, maybe 16, sitting beside a woman on a back porch. Nathan pointed to her. That's my mom. She said they had a short time together. She never told anyone. Not even me. Amy reached for the photo with trembling fingers. The boy in the picture, it was unmistakably Ty, a younger version, but him all the same. She pressed the photo to her chest. The room was silent, heavy with emotion. Lyndi leaned into her mom, sensing something she couldn't quite understand, but could feel. Jack sat down at last, his voice softer now. Well, if what you're saying is true, I guess you've found your family. Nathan smiled, a little shy, a little unsure. That's all I wanted, just to know where I come from. And maybe, if it's alright, to stay a little while. Amy looked at him, really looked, and saw in him the shadows of someone she had loved with her whole heart. He wasn't Ty, but somehow, in this moment, she didn't feel as far away from Ty as she had before. She nodded slowly. You can stay. And just like that, something shifted in the air. A new beginning, one none of them had expected, had just begun. That night, the house was quiet. The kind of quiet that holds more than silence. It held questions, memories, and a weight that had settled softly over everyone, like dust on an untouched shelf. Amy stood alone in the kitchen, one hand resting on the counter. Her eyes locked on the photo Nathan had brought. The young Ty in the picture smiled in a way that tugged at something deep inside her. She could almost hear his laugh, almost feel the warmth of his hand in hers. The years had passed, but this photo, this moment, frozen in time, reminded her that some things never truly fade. She turned the photo over. There was something written on the back in a messy scrawl. Me and Jenny, 02. Jenny, Nathan's mother. Amy exhaled slowly. That name stirred something faint in her memory. A conversation long ago, maybe. Something Ty had said once. About an old friend from his foster care days. In the living room. Jack sat with Nathan. The two of them had barely spoken during dinner, but now, with the weight of the day settling in, Jack's guard had softened a little. Nathan held a small notebook, worn at the edges. I found this after she passed, he said, voice low. I think it's a journal. Not much in it, but one entry. He flipped to a page and handed it to Jack. Jack read silently. The handwriting was shaky but clear enough. Saw Ty again today. He didn't stay long, just dropped off a letter and said goodbye. Said he was leaving, going west. Said he'd finally found a place that felt like home. Jack's hands closed the notebook slowly. He nodded once, more to himself than to Nathan. That sounds like him, he muttered. Running towards something better. Nathan looked down. I always wondered why she never talked about it. Why she kept it from me. Maybe she was protecting herself. Or maybe she thought he wouldn't want us. Jack studied the young man across from him. The pain in his voice wasn't loud, but it was real, familiar, like echoes from a long time ago. A long pause passed between them, the kind that didn't need words to fill. It was peace, not the loud kind. The quiet kind that finds its way into your chest and makes it easier to breathe. Inside. Lyndi was at the kitchen table, drawing again, but this time, it wasn't a horse. It was a picture of the porch. Of Amy, Nathan, and Jack. She labeled each with her careful handwriting, and next to Nathan, she wrote, Uncle. Lou leaned over her shoulder. That's beautiful, she said. Do you like having him here? Lyndi nodded quickly. It feels like we got a piece of Daddy back. Lou didn't answer. She just pulled Lyndi in for a quiet hug. Outside, Amy handed Nathan a folded paper. There's more here if you want to stay. Work, writing, help on the ranch. It's not easy living, but it's honest. It's what made Ty the man he became. Nathan took the paper without opening it. I don't need to read it. No, I want to stay. Amy smiled. Then welcome to Heartland. As the last light of day faded behind the trees. The camera would linger if this were a scene on screen, on the stillness, on the faces, on the land itself. Because Heartland isn't just a place, it's a feeling. It's what happens when love survives loss. When people keep showing up for the land, for each other, for the memories that refuse to die. Ty might be gone, but his story didn't end. It carried on in Lyndi's laughter, in Amy's strength, in Jack's quiet wisdom, and now, in Nathan's new beginning. And that is the heart of Heartland. Some stories don't fade. They just change shape. Ty's memory lives on in the choices his family makes, in the people they welcome, in the love they keep alive. Season 19 begins not with an ending, but with a return. A return to roots. A return to the truth. Family is more than blood. It's the people who come when the heart calls. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want more Heartland moments just like this.